think one of the real problems is we've got a group of people in the community that, one, are young in age, they don't have a real political active voice. Two, they're not an organized faction. It's not like Little League where you've got 15 kids on a team and they can all get together and their parents can get together and help push and fight for facilities and amenities. Here you've got a bunch of kids that like to do something that to them is as much of a worthwhile sport as any other organized sport or disorganized sport, I guess.
And at the same time, I think we saw it as a great opportunity to provide for a group of people that aren't as well represented sometimes in their sport as a more organized sport. When you've got Little League and ASO and Pop Warner, those are organized groups and they have one voice that comes through a board. Skateboarding and extreme inline skating are much more individual types of sports, and you don't have that one voice. So this was an opportunity to provide for a legitimate sport for a group of people that aren't often heard.
There is a nationwide need for public skate parks. Currently, there are over 50 city-built public skating areas across the country. We visited 20 of these parks to help alleviate the liability fears and misconceptions that are commonly associated with skate parks, providing you with documented proof of creative ways to design, build, and fund your own facilities from the cities that have aggressively approached and successfully built skate parks. In part 1 of this video, we will convince you of the need for placing a public skate park in your city and dispel the misconceptions and fears that surround skateboarding. In part 2, we will explore the design, cost, insurance, location, and funding issues involved with building your skate park. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, private parks were being destroyed due to exorbitant insurance premiums and fear of liability lawsuits. Between 1984 and 1989, most cities had placed zoning ordinances banning backyard ramps, leaving the children with nowhere to go. Forced to move to the streets, skaters began skating anything and everything that they could find, quickly leaving their mark on public property throughout the city. Cities discontented with skaters created laws and ordinances banning skating on public and private property by posting signs making skateboarding illegal. Now, facing fines and prosecution, skaters were truly left with nowhere to go. Meanwhile, the skateboard industry continued to flourish with record sales. Today, the industry boasts sales in excess of $450 million a year, with over 100 manufacturers of skateboard-related items, providing products for over 10 million skaters worldwide. Today, there are over 1,400 retailers nationwide devoted to selling skateboarding products. So as the popularity of skateboarding grows, it will become an essential public facility that cities will need to provide.
We realized that there was an interest out there that wasn't being adequately served, and that, in our mission is providing park and recreation opportunities in the city of Philadelphia. We were not fully recognizing the fact that a lot of people are interested in this activity.
It's part of the mission of Parks and Recreation to provide activities for people in the community, and youth is an underserved group and has been recognized as such for a long time. So it was an opportunity to serve youth.
I think what's happened up till now is that municipalities have had problems with skateboarders on public facilities, and their immediate solution was to enact ordinances that prohibit skateboarding. And it's just now in the mid-90s that there are in fact some politicians who are involved in skateboarding or were part of it when they were young that can see a need for a facility, a public facility, in the same way you need public baseball or basketball courts in order to grow basketball. You need to provide positive places for kids to do skateboarding, because skateboarding is not going to go away. It's been around for 30 years and it's strong now. And now finally we have some adults that are realizing that and providing facilities.
It's not unlike what we do for every other recreational pursuit in the city. I mean, we have 100 baseball fields. We have, 40 miles of paved trails throughout the park system that serve a particular interest group, be it cyclists or joggers or baseball players or whatever. And we provide facilities for all of those types of users. So why shouldn't we provide an adequate facility for skateboarders as well?
I don't see why every city shouldn't have one or two or three. Because, I mean, how many softball diamonds do we have in this city? You know, we don't even begin to approach that number of skateboard parks.
They're no different, or they are different than softball players and football players, and it's a definite population of kids that want to show their skills a different way than another athlete does, and there was a need for it.
A lot of times the people that participate out there, the young people, are not your traditional Little League players, and they have a legitimate need for recreation. Skateboarding seems to serve that need.
Writing them tickets is just not the solution. I don't know what that accomplishes except to make a lot of kids very angry at the place.
But yeah, we do field a lot of calls and things like that, and you go there and you tell the kids, you can't skate here, and then their first question is, well, where can I skate? And we don't have an answer for them.
I see the kids on the streets a lot. I know there's been a lot of problems with the police and the merchants as far as the kids crowding the streets and the storefronts.
And we have all the merchants and the citizens who are real upset with skateboarders. They surprise them and they almost knock them over in all their parking lots and parking strips. And
we started off with it there that we were seeing a lot of damage to our property. And the kids, these really was young adults, really. They were old enough to have automobiles to drive into the area because they really didn't have any place to go.
And the parents, it's been wonderful. The parents have come out. It's a clean sport for their kids, but they're frustrated.
They have a lot of rec centers, but it's not what the kids want. Only so many kids can play basketball and play football, and other kids have other interests like inline skating and skateboarding, and they need facilities like that for those kids.
It doesn't take much to satisfy skating. It just takes something. Give them a place to go so they don't get kicked out everywhere.
Basically, the kids are the ones that are left short-handed. The kids that choose to skateboard, it's their choice. Just because they don't want to do what the traditional sports are, they get shafted. So I definitely think I'm paying taxes. I think it's part of their responsibility to provide for the kids. That's part of government's purpose. We give them the money. They're supposed to provide education and things for kids to do. And so I think they're just not doing it. They're not doing what is expected of them. So I think at the very least they should have a park that's free, at the very least.
We need to look upon that as just another activity, another sport that this particular population, this particular group of kids enjoy. And there's no reason why we shouldn't accommodate them with a facility for their sport.
I think it's here to stay. I definitely think there's a following. There's a special group of kids that are using it. Why not give them a safe, clean environment to do that? I know the city or downtown merchants are very happy because they're not down jumping the curbs there and skating up and down the sidewalk. So it's no different than playing stickball out on the street. They have ballparks to do that.
It's fun to see it. I mean, that park is really being used. And I don't have the trouble anymore in the shopping center, where they're skating on rails up and down stairs. I don't have that problem anymore. We had that a year ago. They go where they're supposed to go and love it.
The skate park has been better used than we ever expected. It's beyond capacity and they turn people away on a regular basis. It's probably only half the size that it really should be in order to accommodate people.
It's probably more used per square foot than just about anything else we have in the city, with the exception maybe of swimming pools.
We have at one time 250 kids
in a 10,000 square foot area, and that's not safe. If it was a third larger, it'd make it a lot more acceptable. And we've had 250 kids in there, easy.
We are aggressively looking at a second park because of the enormous demand, the number of kids, and which is wonderful is a lot of girls too. Everyone has this perception that it's all boys.
I have seen as many as 300 kids down there at one time, and ranging from ages 30, 35 down to 6 and 7.
I think there's a lot more interest in skateboarding and rollerblading than what anybody even imagines.
We did fairly lengthy research to a lot of the different facilities around to see what kind of claims they had. We're also a member of a municipality pool for our liability coverage, so it was easy to tap into them as far as what kind of claims had been happening in Colorado. Found that there just really wasn't anything to be that concerned about, provided that we put together a reasonably safe, state-of-the-art facility.
The park's been operating, as far as I know, for about 6 years, and there's not been a single claim against the city. And again, I think that's because the skateboarders feel like it's their facility, it's their responsibility, and they skate, quote-unquote, at their own risk.
We did a survey of the other cities that had skate parks for many years in some cases, had discovered they had no history of claims or lawsuits.
So far it's worked wonderful. I know there have been some broken limbs, lots of broken limbs, and the city has not yet received one claim. And I think that speaks a lot towards the skateboarding community themselves, because they are willing to accept responsibility for their own injuries.
Since I've been involved with this skate park, we've not had any liability claims or suits.
I know that there's been some sprained ankles, busted hands, skinned up knees. We have yet to have a claim filed against the city or any claims filed against anybody. They're all there, they know they're there on their own, and so they take the responsibility for anything that happens to them.
I get calls, oh gosh, at least 1 a week from all over the state, all over the country, people wanting to do skateboard parks. The first thing they say is, this has got to be really dangerous. You people must be paying claims right and left, and we're not.
Frankly, I just have not had any liability claims from the skateboard park.
In some ways we expected it, because if you just think of skateboarding, you think injuries. But no, there has not been any against the city.
In the 5 years that we've been running it, I know that there's been many accidents up there, and I've never received one phone call.
And I have to say that to date, we have had not one claim from the skaters who use our park, and I'm very proud of that, and I respect the people who skate there, because they've kept their part of the bargain.
And so far in 2 years, we have not to this point had a claim.
Well, when they first started the skateboard park, I was really against it, only because of the image that skateboarders have. Once I started watching the kids build and the efforts that they were willing to put into that to make it themselves, then I got behind them.
As a fairly progressive community, it's amazing to see the kind of obstacles and roadblocks that we're running into. I expect these things, but I'm always surprised when I see just the angriness and the spitefulness that people will attack things that they don't like, and attacking is probably the best word.
We had some people come to public meetings and say, these kids are going to rape and pillage and burn our neighborhood, and our kids are never going to be safe, and there's going to be all kinds of drugs, and we haven't found that to be true.
They attack it from the point of absurdity, in my view, and that is that we're going to have drug dealing, we're going to have gang problems, we're going to have prostitution is one that really knocked me away.
One of the concerns when we first proposed it was people saw skateboarders probably not as athletes, but as, hoodlums maybe. They go around with a skateboard under their arm, and the fear was if you put it in, suddenly you'd have a bunch of gangs and drug dealers and such hanging around your neighborhood. Now that it's there, I think we're seeing that the people that skateboard are just athletes. They're focused on their sport, they're athletic, they're quiet, there's no boom boxes, there's no hanging around and drinking into the night related to the skate park. So just an athletic pursuit, just like anything else in town.
A lot of the skateboarders are seen as renegades or children running amok, you know, and that's how people perceive many of those young kids. And I don't think that's what it is at all. I think they have no other choice other than to illegally skate on the street. And I think that if the city would build a legal place for them to skate, I think we'd see a lot less of them on the street.
Businesses maybe have their eyes opened, government has their eyes opened, the police have their eyes opened, that just because you're a kid and you skateboard or because you're an adult and you skateboard, you're not doing something wrong.
And it took probably 2 or 3 years to get acceptance with everybody in the neighborhood that these guys were okay. But now, I seldom ever get a complaint.
I mean, we've really been, I think, pleasantly surprised at how few problems it's created.
These kids aren't criminals. They're athletes. They are superb athletes, you know. Skateboarding is the most difficult sport, and they want to skate. We need to provide for them. We need to have it open for them. We need to have the facilities for them. It's our job.
I've found the skating community here in Palo Alto to be very aware, very responsible, and very involved, and that's why we've had success.
The community has benefited from having the park.
But I think we in the city, both our Recreation and Parks Department, the Police Department, the City Council, all feel it's one of the most valuable recreational resources that we've put in the last couple of years.
The reason why we got involved in this was trying to find alternative solutions to the problems of skateboarding around town without making them criminal. And I think this is a reasonable solution to that problem, and will better resolve it than going out and writing dozens and dozens of tickets.
We appreciate you taking the time to watch the first half of this video, and we hope that it has helped you better understand the need to provide safe recreational areas for the youth in your city. We hope that we have opened your eyes and convinced you to vote in favor of placing a skateboard park in your community.
When the consultant came in to the city, we really felt it was important, and we gave him this direction, that he get the users, the rollerbladers and the skateboarders involved in the process. Because if he doesn't skate himself, and Park and Rec people don't skate, and we certainly didn't skate, then it was important the ones who were going to use the park to get exactly what they wanted so that they would use it, instead of designing something that we thought they might like.
We really had no idea as to what they were looking for here, and we were all kind of scratching our heads and throwing ideas around, and we didn't really come up with anything concrete until we got some of the skateboarders themselves involved with the design of this park.
Yeah, I feel it's absolutely essential that whoever designs a skateboard track work with the people who are going to be skating on it, and it means having meetings, going through a process of finding out what they want, and then designing that into the skateboard track, because then they have bought into it, it's their track, they know what they want, it's not a preconceived idea by anybody that's designing it, and it seems to work that way.
I think that the biggest thing that most of the design flaws that we saw was, again, where the city just decided to go in and pour some cement and figured the kids would skate it, didn't talk to them, didn't find out what they wanted to skate, or what would work for them. So we think that talking to the kids is really important, and watching them skate is really important.
I think it's very important that the concrete slab is oversized, so even the beginners can at least try to skate on a nice, flat, soft, hard, smooth surface. And then slowly but surely, as their skills improve, they can get involved with some of the interactions of the equipment that's out there.
It would make it a lot more fun for kids that actually, are trying to learn, and they can skate around the sides and the edges of the hills, learning board control and to turn and maneuver the board away from traffic. Where in the center of the bowl on a busy day, it's very crowded, and if your board control skills aren't, polished, you're going to run into someone, or you're going to try to be avoiding someone, hurting yourself trying to avoid them.
Yeah, they should definitely have a beginner's area. There's times here when you collide with people and there's nothing you could do, and they really should have an area set aside for the little kids.
What we found was we had some very beginners trying to skate with some pretty advanced skaters, and it just, they can't have the confidence that they need to go out and try something because they're so afraid they're going to get run over.
It's not near big enough for the amount of use it's getting. We could triple this park.
If Scott Carpenter was twice the size that it is, it would probably still be lacking in capability of handling all the skaters.
We have 2 sessions every day, and the park holds 31 people, and we're basically at capacity every day during the summer.
You definitely need to design something that people of all skill levels can enjoy.
Okay, the public parks that people build, they should cater to every one of the skateboarders, which would be, you'd have a park like Huntington Beach or Milpitas, which would be a beginning park. You got like Santa Rosa, which is sort of an intermediate thing. You got something like Burnside that's for advanced skaters. I think every public park should have something to cater to each one of those 3 categories.
They should have a beginner's area for safety reasons. They should have a street area in the skateboard park that mimics a street, such as handrails, curbs, benches, planters, the stuff that the kids are skating downtown, that you should try and mimic that area in your skateboard park. And you should also have a more challenging advanced area.
And I think we're basically coming upon the fact of going from something that's a beginner status all the way to an advanced status, all incorporated into one park, and the town council seems to agree with the need for that.
If a skateboard park in another city would be designed nearby another active recreational area, for instance, ours is adjacent to 6 or 7 ball fields, a huge swimming pool, tennis courts, the whole thing. So if you maximize your resources in that respect by having a skateboard park close to those other facilities.
Any skateboard park should have a bathroom, a water fountain, and a telephone
for safety of the area, we ran telephone line out to the little office we put into the park so that they had an opportunity to dial in if there was any kind of an emergency. And
We also wanted a park that had restrooms in it, and our park has portable toilets right now, and we'll have a future restroom.
The way we approached it from our research is to find an area that the kids could access the park easily. That was a strong consideration.
One of the primary factors in picking the location that we did was to make it easily accessible.
We wanted to have it on a bus route to make sure people get there by rapid transit.
We're in a good central location here. We're close to the police department. If there's an emergency, somebody breaks something, they can get over here quick.
Certainly in a highly visible area, and certainly in an area that is safe and well maintained, were important factors to us.
there were a number of reasons. One was that it was visible, and we thought that would help to promote the park. People would actually be able to drive by and see people skating in it.
It's in an area in FDR Park in South Philadelphia that is essentially unusable for anything else. It's under Interstate 95, so it's covered. It can be used, in any kind of weather.
And it's particularly good because it's underneath the bridge. So in our climate, particularly with it raining so much, it's got automatic cover, and that's worked very, very well.
We have an 80 by 100 concrete slab. It costs us $15,000 for the installation of that. And our 4 pieces of equipment that we have on our park cost us $15,000. So we spent $30,000 of our lottery funds for that year on this skateboard park.
Total cost for construction, fencing, and everything came to probably about $49,000 total.
And the skateboard portion was about $50,000, and this was in 1992.
The original design was very simple, and our guys constructed it to the tune of about $150,000.
When we finally got it built in 1993, the total cost came to about $150,000. And we were willing to spend that much money because we wanted a park that was going to last and one that would speak well to the city of Santa Rosa, as well as giving the kids some place that they could be proud of.
I usually figure that you could build a track for $8 a square foot no matter what you do. I mean, if it's flat and has features over, coming up out of it, or you go down in the ground, it still seems to come out about $8 a square foot. So if a city gives me a budget of $80,000, I know they've got about a 10,000 square foot track. So I start, when I get all these models together from the kids at the workshop, I then know I've got about 10,000 square feet to work with.
The city is a public agency, and private enterprise, private business join hands. and together they create something that's for the public good.
What Assistant Chief Best and I did, we went out and contacted different construction companies in the city. And of course, me being a councilman and him being the Assistant Fire Chief, a lot of people knew us, a lot of business people knew us.
We went to the business community, to concrete dealers, to lumber yards, to the contractors, and just business at large, seeking any kind of donation we could get, either cash or in-kind donation of materials or in-kind donation of labor.
And they said, sure, we will contribute. We had people contribute as much as $10,000. We had people contribute as much as $10,000 in building materials. We had the blueprints with us. We showed them exactly what the skateboard facility was going to look like. We told them what we were going to do after the facility was done. We were going to have a grand opening, and their name is on a plaque at the skateboard facility as one of the contributors. So we had this big, huge, nice plaque out there that's made of wood that was done for us, and it's got all the contributors' names on that, and that's a permanent, plaque out there. So the people, when they come and use the skateboard facility, they see that this was a community effort, not just a city effort, but it was a community effort involving businesses that we have in the city of Chesapeake.
We used what we call PA&D money as park acquisition and development funds. Those are monies that we get from developers whenever they come into town and build homes or apartments or something. There has to be so much money per unit that they give back to the city to create green space or parkland.
It all came out of the parks budget. We have development fees for parks. Money, when new homes are built in the city Parks Department collects funds for the purpose of building new parks and rehabilitating old parks. So the city paid 99% of the cost for it, which was about $150,000 all told.
Okay, well, for the skateboard park, the city council went ahead and funded it through development impact fees, which are fees that are paid by developers every time they pull a building permit, and a certain portion of that money is set aside for the city then to go ahead and build parks and other types of facilities that are necessary for the community. And we are very fortunate in the city of Temecula. We have a nonprofit foundation called the CRC Foundation for Community Recreation Center. And they do various fundraisers throughout the year with the express desire to put back into the community, and particularly for children, to provide recreation and facilities for kids. They came to the city and said, if you will build it, we will pledge to raise $100,000 to pay for that facility. And that's exactly what they did.
We actually had some fundraising that was done from, we had one business that had been in our community for 20 years and was celebrating their 20-year anniversary. And they gave a sizable donation of $30,000 to the project. We had another nonprofit organization in town that contributed $10,000 to the project. And the rest of it came from individual fundraising events. We actually got about $50,000 worth of donations from the community. So that gave a strong message to our city council that there was a real strong interest in skateboarding in this community.
At that time, the city of Golden was self-insured. I talked to our human resource director at the time, wanted to know what it would cost us insurance-wise to stick our neck out liability, because everybody was kept screaming about liability and the problems that they had. He informed me that it would not cost us anything more. We had the park up there, so we thought we would do that.
Well, our city has coverage of the first $1 million. The city's self-assured. So any injury or any action taken against the city up to $1 million, the city will cover itself. After that, we have taken out insurance through a carrier to cover us for any other liabilities.
The city is self-insured for the first $100,000, and then beyond that point, We have a umbrella liability policy that covers any liability claims against the city.
It's separately rated. So it's in our insurance application. It's included as a separately rated little component, much the same way as a swimming pool would be, or a rodeo arena, or something like that. So we do name it as a specific, separate part of the city and pay coverage on it.
What we have is the city is self-insured. And the city has an umbrella policy for settlements against the city that are over $1 million. However, the company that holds that umbrella policy specifically excludes skateboarding from coverage. So therefore, all the activities of the city at the skate park are self-insured, which means if something were to happen and the city were held liable and a settlement be made, that would come out of the city general fund. However, the city was comfortable in doing that for two reasons. One, we did a survey of the other cities that had skate parks for many years in some cases, had discovered they had no history of claims or lawsuits. And the second was the city attorney felt that the kids are already skating all over public property anyway. You may as well provide them a safe facility that was designed for that purpose. You already got the liability, you may as well control it a little bit.
We don't anticipate at all staffing it. There's some statutory immunities in this state that have recently been put on the books that allow us to not have to have staff on there. In fact, we don't have a duty to provide staff or security there. If in fact we choose to do that, then we assume a greater liability and a greater responsibility. What we do have to do is post the area as a dangerous recreational activity, and that we advise the kids that they should have helmets, elbow pads, knee pads, and gloves and all the rest of it. They don't have to do that. They can do whatever they want, but at least they're warned when they come in that you could be injured by doing this sport.
Well, we felt like, again, it's pretty basic. We don't supervise softball diamonds. We don't supervise a basketball course. It's just, if that's drop-in pickup play, there's no need to supervise those. If this site is anything, it's safer than those kind of activities. So we felt like, why would we supervise a skateboard park?
I think it's the only way it can function appropriately. I can come up with all kinds of legal reasons why things should be fenced off and people prohibited from using them, but it misses the point of the sport. There's no more reason to fence off a skateboard park than there is to fence off the ocean so people can't surf at any hour of the day or night. It's just a physical facility, not a supervised sport.
Some people may think that a skateboard park is really dangerous, but potentially a swing or a slide that's 8 foot off the ground could be dangerous. So we've taken a position that our development, I think, and our plan and the way we develop this park, we think we mitigated much of the risk. We think it's kind of a low-risk beginning type activity. People can still get hurt out there, but we do post signs. People participate at their own risk, and we don't supervise it.
We designed that facility to be run without supervision. That was one of the first things we did, is we hired a supervisor, a monitor, actually, just to kind of see what was going on for the first month. We didn't know what to expect. We were totally novice at operating and managing a skate park. So we had somebody over there, and their primary role was just to kind of watch and see if we needed to make adjustments. It wasn't, this person didn't tell the kids how to act or tell them what to do. The kids just found their own groove over there, and it seems to be working out pretty good so far.
We did some other research also and found that if you had an unstaffed facility and you didn't charge for the use of it, and you properly posted it, there is a code within the state code, and you post it properly and require safety gear, which includes helmet, elbow pads, and knee pads, then you have significantly reduced your liability on that facility. People are skating at their own risk. We took that into consideration, but that was not the direction we chose to go. We were building what we consider to be a more advanced facility and one that we felt needed to be supervised and staffed.
It costs us about $20,000 to $25,000 a year to staff the bowl.
My feeling on the whole thing is that a supervised park is just a safer environment for the kids. You know, you keep the numbers limited to what's appropriate for the size of the park.
Our facility is supervised by Parks and Recreation. We have a staff member down there when the park is open. And the reason why we do that is in case there is an accident, he has a phone, and he can call not only the hospital, but he has his walkie-talkie and phones to the rec centers.
What's really important, and what was important here in Santa Rosa, is to have the backing and advice of the skating community in front of the council when the idea was brought forward.
These kids have rules set up there that I don't even understand, but they do. There's no organization. You get a little league, you have to get organized, you have to have parents there to run things. These guys are running themselves.
Yeah, I think that everything in regard to that skateboard park has been positive. We haven't had social problems out there. It's been heavily used. We have not had injuries that I'm aware of, and the kids have been very responsible in the way they've operated and used the park.
So I think, you know, within the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be something that's standard in every little municipality, in every community. There's not going to be one park, there's going to be several.
And this was a good project. The city came together as one. We built it. We got the contributions. We got the build materials, and everybody was tickled to death. The kids were tickled to death, and everybody said after it was opened up that this is a great facility.
I really think we got something to be proud of, and I think every city of any size should take a good look at the maker, and put that same park in your city.
We'll build a park here. It'll be a very nice park, and I think the citizens, especially I know the kids that are skateboarders, are going to appreciate it. And it is a shame that we can't look at them on the same standing as everybody else, and their recreational needs are just as important. We always are saying, you know, why are the teens so angry? Why do they not want to do anything that we provide? Why are they always on the outside looking in? Well, the brief planning process that we've been into already really illustrates that. I mean, as soon as you mention kids, it doesn't matter what the activity is, half the population says, we don't want them in our neighborhood. They're going to cause trouble. There'll be problems. Well, the kids hear those same things, and it's not a big surprise when they choose not to participate in a lot of things that we do. This is an activity that is every bit as much of a sport as surfing, as tennis, as golf, as baseball, as anything else, and they have the right to have these kind of facilities. And I think we, as typically as older adults, look at these things and say, well, I don't skateboard. Hell, we don't need another skateboard park. When's the last time I've used one? None of my friends skateboard, so we don't need them. All the things we need are whatever it is we happen to do. And I think we better open up our eyes and ears and start saying, you know, what does the community want? And the community is not defined as people that look and act like us.
This has probably been one of the most rewarding projects that I've worked on for the city. Every time I go out and I look at that facility and I see the kids skating it, I get excited. I've never tried a board. I probably never will, but somehow I feel like I'm skating on that board with them when they're out there, and I really am proud of that facility.
At this time, we'd like to pay special tribute to the following people for their individual efforts. To Mark Scott for his dedication and devotion to the creation of one of the best skateboarding facilities in the United States, the Burnside Project. To Terry Gerbo for his perseverance and determination in seeing the Fayetteville Skate Park become a reality. And to the Chesapeake Fire Department, who took on the task of building a skate park for the youth of their community of their own volition, because they recognized the need for it. Since our founding in 1986, Airwalk has worked to further the safety and enjoyment of what has grown into the nation's 6th most popular participant sport. By donating a portion of all S-Park skate shoe sales and through this video, we hope to achieve our goal of creating new or improved public skate parks across the country. We're proud to be associated with the International Association of Skateboard Companies, action sports retailers, and community organizations. And we're proud to sponsor this video. We hope it inspires you to take a leadership role in your community and to help you make the S-Park revolution happen.